Hello everybody and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new, you are listening to Be Candid and I am your host Amber. It's currently Saturday, it's the weekend and the sun is shining and I'm feeling good, so I wanted to hop on here and just film or record. I always say film, I'm not filming. Record a really fun episode for you guys, which is going to be all about my Netflix recommendations and just kind of like rating Netflix shows from the best to the worst, because I've been binging Netflix shows over lockdown like there's no tomorrow. I was furloughed for like 5 or 6 months, so I had a lot of time on my hands and I put it to good work watching a lot of Netflix shows. So I thought this would just be a fun episode to record for you guys so we can have a little chat, talk about some Netflix shows I like, some that I don't like, and maybe you'll have differing opinions, maybe you'll agree with some, or maybe I'll really love some which you really hate. Just a bit of fun, you know? So I think I'm just going to jump straight into it because, like I said, I've watched many a Netflix show, so there's a lot to get through. So we're going to kick it off. I'm going to go from worst to best. So if you want to find out what my very favourite shows are on Netflix, you'll have to wait till the end. But to start off this episode, I'm going to kick it off with the Kaminsky method, which even in itself is like kind of hard to say, like the Kaminsky method. It's named after one of the actors in it, and I've got a little description of each show so that I can kind of summarise it for you without giving any spoilers, because I hate it when people do that. So it's written down as: an ageing actor who long ago enjoyed a brush with fame makes his living as acting coach. So take from that what you will. It was like a couple of seasons, I think maybe 2 seasons, and it was fun, light-hearted, but I don't know, I don't think I could really like relate to the characters because they were a bit older and stuff, so nothing really drew me to it. So I wouldn't say it was like a definite watch on Netflix. It was fun. I like having things on in the background on Netflix, which I think this was prime for. So if you just want something like a bit light-hearted that you don't really have to watch that hard or like pay much attention to, it could be a good option, but for me was not the one. The next one I I think I agree with where I put it, but I also kind of love it at the same time, which is Bling Empire. So the description of this show was: follow LA's wildly wealthy Asian and Asian American fun seekers as they go out with fabulous parties, glamour and drama in this reality series. Now, if you know me, you know this is right up my street. I freaking love a reality TV show. I love watching rich people live their lives, which is so weird that that's even like a concept, but for some reason it really resonates with me and I really enjoy it. But I don't know if I was just in the wrong headspace to watch this show, but it was just a bit too over the top, which is saying a lot for these kind of shows because that's kind of the whole point. But for me, something just didn't quite sit right. It was like a weird mash of people that were in similar groups but all came from like very different backgrounds, and it felt like some of the storylines, or like I was using quote unquote I guess storylines because apparently it's a reality TV series, but they felt like a little forced maybe, so I wasn't too keen on that one. Moving straight on, we have The Fall. I've heard such great things about this. Some people really, really love this show, and it's described as a seemingly cold but very passionate policewoman goes head-to-head with a seemingly passionate father who is in fact a cold serial killer in this procedural out of Belfast. The only thing they share is their common complexity. So already it sounds like a little bit more of a deeper level than the first two kind of more light-hearted or reality TV series, I guess. The Fall was definitely like a thriller about like a serial killer who goes around killing women, and it was really interesting and quite gripping. But I have many other like thriller kind of crime shows that I prefer to this one, so that's why it was so far down on the list. But I would definitely recommend it if you wanted to check it out, because there is something about like British crime shows I really like. They also terrify me because it does feel a little bit too close to home, but I don't know if it's just like I get like the humour, or I can relate to it a bit more because like the sarcasm in it and stuff is like very British sarcasm, which I don't think you get in many like American shows and stuff, so I do quite enjoy that. But yeah, definitely a good one, but definitely not my favourite. Okay, the next show I watched so many episodes of, it was Insatiable. Now, this is described as a disgraced, dissatisfied civil lawyer. Let's start that again. A disgraced, dissatisfied civil lawyer turned beauty pageant coach takes on a vengeful, bullied teenager as his client and has no idea what he's about to unleash upon the world. Now, season 1 of this, I loved. It's with Debbie Ryan. I don't know if you remember her off of Disney Channel, but I really like her. This show was so much fun because it was like pageant queen, so it had almost like the Miss Congeniality feel, because there were like some crimes going on in it, there was some drama behind the scenes, but then you still had like the beautiful outfits and all the pageantry of that, which I really enjoyed. And then as season 2, and I think even maybe season 3 progressed, it just got weirder and more far-fetched and stranger, so that's why I had to kind of knock it down a few places on the list. It was really good, I did really enjoy it, and I definitely binged it very quickly, but maybe I should have stopped at season 1. You know, it was one of those, like, I feel that happens with a lot of series where they just try and like squeeze another series out of it or squeeze another episode, and it's just a bit like, oh, I wish they hadn't done that. It was almost there, not quite, I still enjoyed it, but it was like teetering on the edge, you know. I loved this next show, Dash and Lily. If you have not watched this, you definitely should. It's just such a sweet show. It is a bit Christmassy, so maybe save it for Christmas time, even though that's quite far away. We haven't even had summer yet. But it is described as a whirlwind holiday romance builds as cynical Dash and optimistic Lily trade dares, dreams, desires in the notebook they pass back and forth at locations all around New York City. Guys, how does that not sound like the best show ever? It's Christmas time. There's love, there's young love, there's New York City, like, oh, such a dream, such a sweet series, and just one that made me feel really festive. It was just like super innocent and super pure, and just kind of like harness that magic of Christmas, which I really liked. And like I said, I know we haven't had summer yet, so I'm probably cringing some of you out by even talking about Christmas, but it was a show that I did binge whilst in lockdown, so I had to include it. Then we're going to move on to Fuller House. Oh my gosh, like Full House I freaking loved. I watched it maybe in 2019, I think. Binged that whole series. God knows how many seasons there are in that. Uncle Jesse, I love you. Oh, just the little Michelle, so cute. Love the whole shebang. So when I saw that Fuller House was coming out, I was a little skeptical because, you know, like, second time rounds or reunions are always a bit iffy, but I'll read you the description of it. It says, in a continuation of Full House, which came out in 1987, DJ Fuller is a mother of 3 young boys and is a recent widow. DJ's sister Stephanie, her best friend Kimmy, and Kimmy's teenage daughter all move in to help her raise her sons. The house is now a lot fuller. I did not read that very well, but hopefully you got the gist of it. But yeah, it was just done so well. I really thought like the original characters would make maybe more of, more of a, I don't know, be like more returning characters, do you know what I mean? Like Jesse and everyone, they only popped up from now and then. It wasn't like they were super involved in every episode, which I actually quite liked because it allowed the storyline to progress a bit. We weren't like reliving the same storylines that we were in Full House, so I really enjoyed it actually. It was a really, really good one. Again, super fun, super silly, just like easy watching, but they do kind of take a bit of mick out of themselves, which I also kind of appreciated because I think otherwise it can get quite cringy quite quickly, and I think they used the cringe to their advantage, if you know what I mean. I feel like you'll only know if you've seen it, so definitely go check it out if you're a fan of Full House. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It was really good fun. Then we're going to talk about Working Mums. It was so much fun. I loved watching this show. Even though I'm not a mum, I can just like, because I've been a nanny and stuff, I think I can relate to quite a lot of the content and things. I'll read the description. It's 4 very different 30-something working mothers and friends try to balance their jobs, family life, and love life in modern-day Toronto, Canada. So as you can see, I do not match up with a lot of the things mentioned in that. I am not a mother, I do not live in Canada, I am not a 30-something. but I still found the show really entertaining and really funny, and I could kind of like laugh along with quite a bit of it because I have been a nanny and have looked after like tiny children before. So yeah, it was definitely kind of a guilty pleasure, I guess, but it was just like done so well, and they just like took the mick out of themselves so easily that it just made it really easy for you to kind of laugh along and like not feel guilty about it, like because you were like making fun at like a new mother or something. You know, those kind of situations can be a bit hit or miss, and I think I think they got it right, you know. Oh, now we're going to talk about The Good Witch. I really had high hopes for this show. I thought it was going to be like my new top 10. Unfortunately, it didn't quite make it that high, but I still really enjoyed it. I'll read what it says it is. It says, Good Witch will take viewers on a new magical journey with Cassie Nightingale and her daughter Grace. When Dr. Sam Radford moves in next door to Grey House with his son, they are charmed by the magical mother-daughter duo. So, it sounds a little... I guess I could describe it as a little bit Gilmore Girls, but with a little sprinkle of like magic or like Charmed. Do you ever remember watching Charmed, like the three witch sisters? It's kind of those vibes. Like it's very small town, chemistry between neighbours, like very cutesy kind of vibes. I hate that word, but that's the kind of feeling you get from it, I guess. But I did really enjoy it. It was a lot of episodes. I remember watching it for a very long time. As I'm saying all of this, I watched these shows like nearly a year ago, or just under a year ago, maybe like 10 months ago. So I am trying to like scratch my head and remember the plot and everything like that. But like I said, I don't want to give away too many spoilers. But again, I think this is a really good one to watch in the background, especially if you kind of like those shows like Gilmore Girls or Sweet Magnolias, which we'll get into later, but those kind of shows which are a bit more what's the word, begins with a H. I want to say humble, but that's not the word. I don't know, like a little bit more small town cutesy, that kind of vibe. I think this really fits in with that, and it does a very good job. You kind of know, like going into it, that nothing bad is going to happen. You know, you're going to enjoy each episode. It's going to be a nice episode, and there's nothing like scary lurking around the corner, which sometimes I quite like and find very comforting. Oh, as I said that, Sweet Magnolias is the next one on the list. I loved this show. I can't wait for the next season to come out. I binged this so quickly, and I'm kind of gripped, to be honest, which I didn't think was going to happen, because again, I thought it would just be kind of like easy watching, put it on in the background, like not much of a storyline. You can kind of just flick in and out and you kind of get the gist of what's going on. The description of this is that Sweet Magnolias centers on 3 South Carolina women, best friends since high school, as they shepherd each other through the complexities of romance, career, and family. So I kind of think that kind of matches the description of like a small town, very sweet, very cutesy, that kind of thing. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes, like a little bit of scandal, some tragedies, I guess I could say. I don't want to give anything too much away, but it was really, really good, and I'm really looking forward to the next season, so hopefully that comes out soon. But yeah, it was just really sweet and fun. Okay, changing gears a little, I guess, we're going to be talking about Atypical, which I think has been out for a while, but for some reason I had just never seen it. It's all about a boy called Sam, who's an 18-year-old on the autism spectrum. He decides it's time to find a girlfriend, a journey that sets Sam's mum on her own life-changing path as her son seeks more independence. So that was the description of it. And it was just really interesting to see like a show about someone on the spectrum, because the only other shows I'd seen were non-fiction, like The Undateables and things like that. That was kind of my only experience, or I guess watching like The Big Bang Theory and stuff like that, but no one's necessarily like diagnosed with anything on there. But yeah, so seeing like a fictional TV program about someone on the spectrum was really interesting, and I think it was done really well. I think obviously I don't know anyone personally on the spectrum, so I can't speak of that, I guess, but I could appreciate what they were trying to do, you know, like I think it helped people like me who have like no idea about the kind of life people on the spectrum lead or the struggles they deal with. It was like really interesting to see that in a fictional sense, and kind of the comedy with that, and also like the more serious parts. It was a really interesting show, and I just thought it was really fun as well, so definitely check it out if you haven't already. Oh, mentioning The Undateables and things like that, I also watched Love on the Spectrum, which is also a show over on Netflix. It's a 4-part documentary series following young adults on their autism spectrum as they explore the unpredictable world of love, dating, and relationships. So this is kind of the same, except you follow, I think, 4 or 5 like individuals who are on the spectrum and their kind of dating habits or like trials at dating and things like that, like going on first dates or getting engaged, or how they manage their relationships, or how they cope with dating and everything like that. But I think it was done, like, I feel like sometimes producers and things like that, it can be put in like quite a comical light, like they're trying to, I don't know, pick fun at them or like really highlight the differences. And I think this one was just really sweet because it really like tried to build them up and make them, I don't know, not be like the end of a joke, you know. It was just like about them and their life and finding love, and it was a really sweet show. Then I watched Tiny Pretty Things, which has come out like semi recently, I think, and it follows the world of an elite ballet dance company and charts the rise and fall of young adults who live far from their homes, each standing on the verge of greatness or ruin. And this was really interesting. I watched the first episode with my mum, like on a whim, because we were just looking for something to put on TV. And I kind of fell in love with it and then just binged the whole series, which I love it when that happens. But it was really interesting, like quite a lot of drama, a little bit of tragedy, but it was done in kind of like a kind of artsy way. And I always find that I love shows that are mixed with dance or some form of sport or something in the background. I find it really interesting and just fun to watch. So I really enjoyed it actually, which was surprising because it wouldn't necessarily be something that I clicked on straight away on Netflix, you know. Ooh, then I watched $1 Million Beach House, which I love these kind of shows. It's a bird's eye view into the day-to-day life of Hampton's youngest and most exclusive group of real estate agents, documenting their private lives and posh coastline listings. Any show that shows me drama and beautiful houses, I am so there for. Yes, I will be talking about Selling Sunset later on. $1 Million Beach House came after me watching Selling Sunset, and I think it just opened a new door to like a new sector or a new section of Netflix and TV shows that I didn't necessarily knew that I enjoyed watching, but I just love drama reality TV series, and apparently when that's mixed with a pretty house, I love it even more. So it was really, really fun to watch, and if you did enjoy Selling Sunset or any other of those kind of shows, you should definitely check out $1 Million Beach House because the properties are stunning and the drama is all there for you, just waiting. Okay, so changing gear again, the next 2 shows I'm going to be talking about are QB1 and Last Chance U. So I think I preferred Last Chance U to QB1, so we'll talk about QB1 first. It follows 3 high school quarterbacks from different backgrounds playing in different environments as they face immense pressure and similar challenges in trying to be successful high school quarterbacks. So, again, through lockdown, I kind of opened this door to sport documentary TV shows, which for some reason I have like a weird guilty pleasure for. There's some part of me that really enjoys watching them. What I didn't enjoy so much about QB1 was that it just followed the 3 quarterbacks, not necessarily the team. So I couldn't like, I don't know, I wasn't like as emotionally invested as I was in like Last Chance U, where they talk about the whole team. I think I prefer following a team rather than one particular member perhaps. And Last Chance U is university and QB1 was high school, obviously, so it was like on a bit of a smaller scale, and kind of some of the issues they were talking about seemed like smaller in comparison to Last Chance U because obviously they're at different stages in life. So yeah, it's definitely a good follow-on show to watch after Last Chance U, but I would definitely recommend Last Chance U first, which is an intense look inside the world of junior college football, chronicling the stories of players and coaches in the classroom and on the field. I loved Last Chance U. I think there were like 4 seasons. Each season follows a different football team. And I don't know why I love watching American football so much, but apparently I do. And it's just really fun to see like the team and how they progress and their successes and their failures and the training that goes on behind the scenes and kind of the drama, I guess, behind the scenes as well with like coaches and stuff. I just really enjoyed it. And again, I love watching a show which has a bit of mix of some kind of sport, some sort of drama, because it just switches up the viewing experience, I guess. So I really enjoyed Last Chance U. I can understand why it wouldn't be for everyone. It wouldn't be a show that I would necessarily think I would enjoy, but apparently I do, and I've been watching a heck of a lot of sports shows ever since then, so something's happened. I also watched The Assassination of Gianni. Oh gosh, I said that wrong. The Assassination of Gianni Versace. I always find that so hard to say, which is an inside look at the Oh, I just realised the description I have of the show isn't a description of the show. It's just like the title written 3 times, which isn't very useful. Basically, it's just like a dramatised version of the assassination of Versace, basically. So it's about the assassinator or the murderer, I guess, and it follows his storyline as well as like the Versace family, like finding out that he'd been murdered and how they dealt with that in terms of like family and business, I guess. And it was really like stylized, like the way they filmed it and like the art within it was really cool. It was like really well executed and just kind of quirky, which made it obviously more interesting to watch, as well as just being like a little bit of a true story, like based on a true story, which I'm always a sucker for. I love any show based on a true story, and like the fashion of it, as well as like the relationships within the Versace family, and then following a murderer, like everything. It had ticked all the boxes for me, you know. It just had a lot going on, and I really enjoyed it. I think it was only like I don't think it was a very long series. I think it was like maybe 8 episodes. I might just be making that up. Maybe it was less than that, but it was really, really not a fun watch, I guess, but a gripping watch, perhaps, really interesting. So maybe that would fit you and what you're looking for in your Netflix TV shows. I don't know, but I enjoyed it. Then I watched Virgin River, which I love. It says, after seeing an ad for a midwife, a big city nurse moves to the redwood forests of Northern California, where she meets an intriguing man. Oh, sounds right up my alley. I think you'll agree. There's now 2 seasons. I've binged both seasons. And it's really fun because it has kind of like the small town vibe, I guess, where everyone knows everyone, but with a lot more kind of drama and thrillery bits and, I don't know, just stuff going on behind the scenes that's like a little seedy, or, you know, people's backstories which aren't really matching up and things like that. So it makes it a lot more interesting. And I really enjoyed it. Saying that, I know my mum did not enjoy it at all, and she thought I was crazy to have enjoyed it and watched it for as long as I had. But I just really love it. I don't know what it is. I always love shows about doctors or like within the medical field. So the fact that she had that kind of thing going on with being a midwife and stuff was just really interesting to me. And then mixed in with like all of the secrets in this little small town. I'm trying not to give anything away. Made it a really fun watch. So definitely enjoyed that one. Oh, then we have to talk How to Get Away with Murder. I love the show. There are 6 seasons. I binged season 6 this lockdown. I think the other seasons I had watched previous to lockdown. It says, a group of ambitious law students and their brilliant criminal defense professor become involved in a twisted murder plot that promises to change the course of their lives. Now, I will say I did get a bit lost because there was such a long gap between season 5 and season 6 that there were times where I had like forgotten who people were, or I had forgotten what seedy things that person had done that had resulted in that thing happening, or what have you. So there was a lot of times where I had to kind of like piece things together myself because I just couldn't remember. So maybe I should have rewatched season 5 before season 6. But nonetheless, the show in itself, I freaking love. It's so, so good. It reminds me of like Scandal, if you've ever seen that. Oh, great show. It has this similar kind of vibe. You know, just powerful female lead, a lot of scandals, tragedies, interesting things going on that keep you gripped every freaking episode, which is why it's so easy to binge, because you just need to know what happens next, you know. It's one of those. So I would definitely really enjoyed it. I would highly, highly, highly recommend anyone to watch this, even though it is we are on season 6, so it's going to take you a while to get through, but maybe you're looking for a whole new season to watch, in which case you should definitely watch How to Get Away with Murder. Then The Politician is somewhat similar to the assassination of Gianni Versace in the sense of like its style, how it's filmed, and kind of the art in it is very like quirky. I don't know how else to describe it. But it says, Peyton Hobart, a student from Santa Barbara, has known since age 7 that he's going to be president of the United States. But first, he'll have to navigate the most treacherous political landscape of all, St. Sebastian High School. So, yeah, it's kind of like political, but it's still in high school. So there's still drama going on. There's amazing outfits and like fashion, which I love. There's drama, there's tactics and political seediness and all of those things. So it's definitely a good watch. And I just really, really enjoyed it. It's got the main guys from Pitch Perfect. So I just really enjoyed that whole situation too. And yeah, it was just really fun. Definitely a good watch. Then we have to talk about Dynasty, which I love so much. It's got, I should know her name, but I don't. I'm so sorry. I even follow her on freaking Twitter and I can't remember her name. But one of the girls, I can't even remember her name in the show. No, not Blair. What was her name? I can't remember, but she was on Victorious on Disney Channel, and now she's in this, and she's just a badass boss, so I freaking love her. But it says Dynasty follows two of America's wealthiest families as they feud for control over their fortune and their children. Oh, I freaking love it. The money, the wealth, the power plays, the drama. Oh, it's all there for you guys. I love this show. I watched it for so very long because there are so many episodes, and it just kind of keeps you gripped with like everything that's going on. Like, you have to watch it. It's so good. I also love kind of home makeover shows. The one I most enjoyed recently has been Dream Home Makeover, which is Shay and Sid McGee out of Studio McGee help dreams come true for real families looking to update their home tailored to their own unique style. I love this show. I don't know what it is about seeing like the before of a house and then seeing the after, which is so satisfying to me, and I love watching the process because I can like pick up tips and tricks along the way. Oh, I think it's just started raining. I don't know if you can hear that. But I can pick up tips and tricks along the way, which I can incorporate into my own home, or at least pin on my Pinterest and pretend that one day I'll have somewhere like that. But again, it was just so fun to watch. I just loved it. I binged it, which I wish I hadn't because I ran out of episodes very quickly. And they do a different space or a different house each episode, so there's always something new going on for you to watch. Then obviously we couldn't do a Netflix recommendations episode without talking about Dead to Me, which, hello, is such a good show. If you haven't seen it, where have you been? It says it's a series about a powerful friendship that blossoms between a tightly wound widow and a free spirit with a shocking secret. Oh, I think that sums up the show so well. It is just about friendship and maybe some deceit between friendships and just secrets between friends, and it's so good. I want to just like scream about it from the rooftops. It's such a good show. Definitely like high drama, bit of a thriller, keeps you on the edge of your seat. You have to keep watching episode upon episode because you need to know what freaking happens, because it's such a good show. So definitely check it out if you haven't, but I'm sure you all have by this point because we all know it's the best. Slightly different kind of show. I watched The Surgeon's Cut. Now, as I mentioned before, I do love a show with some medical stuff going on. Like Grey's Anatomy got me hooked for some reason. Even before Grey's Anatomy though, I think I watched House with my mum. So I was just always on kind of the doctor high. But this is a documentary series. So it says The Surgeon's Cut profiles 4 groundbreaking surgeons from around the world, each with a visionary approach to their craft. And each episode focuses on a different surgeon from somewhere around the world, and their minds are crazy. These people are so intelligent. The work they're doing is incredible. The surgery and the science they have, the medical minds they have, are next level. It was like watching gods, honestly. It was like so crazy, and they're so good at what they do, and they're so passionate about what they do. It was super inspiring to watch, even though like I have no interest in going into the medical field or becoming a surgeon. It was just really cool to see someone so passionate about what they do, and they just seemed like so happy doing what they love and helping people and everything like that. So definitely a really good show if you are into kind of like doctors and medicine and things like that, or you like enjoy watching those kind of shows. Definitely check it out because it was really good, and only 4 episodes, so it won't take you too long to binge. Then another show that I watched for a really long time, I think I started this at the very start of lockdown, was White Collar. It says, a white-collar criminal agrees to help the FBI catch other white-collar criminals using his expertise as an art and securities thief, counterfeiter, and con man. So basically it follows the kind of relationship between an ex-con who's so good at kind of duping people with counterfeit items and being a con man, and his relationship with kind of his mentor, or the person who's supposed to be keeping an eye on him, which works for like the FBI or the government or whatever, and kind of how they help each other out and kind of solve crimes, I guess, or find criminals, or yeah, all of those kind of things. It's just so good, because it not only does it have kind of the criminal aspect of like who did it and there's a mystery and a storyline to it, but it also has the ongoing backstory of kind of their relationship and them figuring out how they can trust each other and becoming friends or falling out of friends and everything like that. So it's a really great show, definitely one you can like semi watch in the background. It's a bit more lighthearted than like How to Get Away with Murder and those kind of things. It's a bit more like almost like NCIS-y, I want to say, that kind of vibe, but really fun, really good watch, and definitely kind of interesting. Like you can pick it up and then stop watching it and then pick it back up again. It's not like you have to be there for every episode to know what's going on, which I definitely enjoy as being someone who likes having episodes on in the background. Christian is in the kitchen, so sorry if you can hear that, but we moved house, we have no doors in this house, so you're gonna have to deal with it, I'm afraid. But I then watched The Crown, which, hello, everyone's watched by this point, but again, so good. It follows the political rivalries and romance of Queen Elizabeth II's reign and the events that shaped the second half of the 20th century. Now, I know all of it isn't necessarily fact, some of it is heavily dramatised, but it's so good. It's exposed a lot about the royal family, or just our history, which I had never known or learnt about in school. Obviously you have to take everything with a pinch of salt because it is a Netflix show, but I really enjoyed it, and I don't know, it felt like I didn't feel guilty about binge watching it because it felt somewhat educational, which I'm not sure how much of it is true and how much of it is fiction, but I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and it just made me feel a bit smarter after watching it, or a bit more like cultural. I don't know what I'm saying, but it was a good show. I'm sure you've all seen it, so you will agree. A show you probably haven't seen, but I freaking love, and is in my top 6, I think we're nearly there guys, top 6 perhaps, was Heartland, which, oh my gosh, I've even wrote down that I watched this from September to November, so it took me 2 or 3 months of binging. And guys, when I say I watched like 5-6 episodes at a time, I really did. I think there were about 12 seasons. It's a let's start that again. It's a multi-generational saga set in Alberta, Canada, and centered on a family getting through life together in their both happy and trying times. And they live on a freaking ranch. There's horses. One of them's a horse whisperer. There's sisters, brothers, wives, breakups, relationships, babies. Like, it all happens, guys. It all freaking happens. And I loved it so much because it just felt like a warm hug. It felt like a hot bowl of tomato soup in a TV series, if that makes any sense to anyone. That was the kind of emotion or feeling it gave me. It felt like coming home. It was so lovely. Just like, again, the kind of small town vibes, you know, like nothing seriously bad is going to happen, or you hope nothing seriously bad is going to happen, but at the same time you get to see like these beautiful landscapes and this lovely farmhouse life and horses and just really sweet moments between a family, or a fictional family, but still a family. And I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a show I will be rewatching at some point in the future, but yeah, it holds a special place in my heart. Jack, if you're listening, he's definitely not, I love you. Then obviously we can't have a Netflix recommendation show without Queer Eye, because Queer Eye is just the best, honestly. I'll describe what it is, but you probably already know. It's a new Fab Five set out to Atlanta to help some of the city's people refine their wardrobes, grooming, diet, cultural pursuits, and home decor. Holy crap, it has everything I love. It has fashion, it has before and afters, it has house makeovers, it has deep meaningful chats between strangers or lost connections. It's so good. Definitely worth watching. There are many a season out by now, so you can have a lot to binge. I did it season by season, so it took me a while, but they're all out, so you can binge to your heart's content. But they're just so heartwarming and lovely, and they just want to build people up, and I just feel better in myself after watching them, so definitely check them out, even though I'm pretty sure you already have. Okay, so I think we have 4 left. The 4th one being Hollywood. I loved this show. I almost wish I could watch it again for the first time. You know when you really enjoy a show and you just want to experience it again for the first time, and you know you can't, but you really wish you could. That's how I feel about Hollywood. It says, a group of aspiring actors and filmmakers in post-World War II Hollywood try to make it big, no matter what the cost. And it's high drama, it's high fashion, it has a great storyline, and it's so well filmed. Like the artistry and the shots, and like, oh, I just love it so much. I've spoken about it on my YouTube before, but it's such a great show. I really enjoyed it. It was very gripping, as well as just being a little bit lighthearted, which is kind of a strange mix, but oh, it was a good one. Would highly recommend. Obviously, I also loved The Queen's Gambit. This was another show I watched by accident. I saw it come out and I was like, I don't really think that's for me. I watched the first episode with my mum and I was freaking hooked. It is about a orphan at the tender age of 9. I'm going to start that again. It's about an orphan at the tender age of 9. Prodigious, that's where I got stuck, I can't say that word. Prodigious introvert Beth Harmon discovers and masters the game of chess in 1960s USA, but child stardom comes at a price. Again, it's got that 60s fashion, which I loved in Hollywood, which I loved in Queen's Gambit, and the storyline is fabulous. The kind of trials and tribulations she has with addiction is crazy and like mad to watch, and just like her genius unfold before you is mad. I really enjoyed watching this. I hope it carries on. I don't know if it will, but I know a lot of people who enjoyed this despite it not necessarily like being in their wheelhouse or not being like their first choice of show. It just gripped so many people that I know, so definitely check it out if you haven't already. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Then my second favourite show on Netflix, which I'm currently still binging, is RuPaul's Drag Race. I love RuPaul's Drag Race so much. It says RuPaul searches for America's next drag superstar. And again, it's kind of like a competition show, but you've got drag stars with their makeup and their high fashion. They have talent shows in between. They do sewing. They do dancing. They do lip syncing. They do snatch games. It's just, oh my god, it's so good. And it's kind of like the one show me and Christian can both watch. We're like so deeply invested in it and we talk about it all the time and we look forward to it every Saturday. That's actually something I weirdly enjoy, the fact that it comes out episode by episode and it's not like a season all at once, so I physically can't binge it, because otherwise you know I would. So I have to be patient and wait each week, but it means that on my Saturdays, like today, I get very excited because eventually this evening with Christian I can watch RuPaul's Drag Race, which is a highlight of my week every week. You should definitely check it out. I mean, my boyfriend watches it, so I know a lot of people kind of see it and think like, oh no, definitely not for me, or I don't know, feel a bit uncomfortable by it perhaps, but I just think it's a really fun competition show. It talks about a lot of serious issues as well as like them having fun, and it, again, high drama, high fashion is definitely what I love, right up my alley. And yeah, I just absolutely freaking love it. Then we finally made it, guys. Well done if you've lasted this long. My favourite show that I have binged on Netflix during lockdown is Schitt's Creek. Oh my gosh, I love this show. Again, I really wish I could watch it for the first time again, because I know as soon as I watch the first episode or like rewatch the first episode, I'm instantly going to remember everything that happened, which is the annoying thing about my brain, because I wish I could just be like a little bit more ignorant and be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember it, but I don't know what's going to happen. But I don't. I remember it because it was so freaking good. It says, when rich video store magnate, I should have really proofed these words before I started this episode, Johnny Rose and his family suddenly find themselves broke. They are forced to leave their pampered lives to regroup in Schitt's Creek. And it started off like first a few episodes I was like, oh, this is going to be a bit silly, it's fun, but like I'm not sure if I'll get like emotionally invested in it. Boy, was I wrong. By the final episode, I was in freaking tears. I was sobbing. The show made me feel so much better about the world, and I don't know why, but after watching it, I just felt like so much lighter and like hopeful that humanity has it together and that people are good and people are kind and we can help each other out. And it was really fun and just iconic. Like, the fashion is iconic, the words, like so many quotes from Schitt's Creek have become iconic, and I freaking love the show. So if you haven't seen it, or for whatever reason you think it's not for you, I would disagree. If you've watched any other like sitcom-y show, whether that's Seinfeld, whether that's Friends, whether that's How I Met Your Mother, whether it's Desperate Housewives, whatever it is, you need to watch Schitt's Creek. Add it to your list, add it to your sitcom favourites, because it's so freaking good, and I really wish I could watch again because I love it so much. And I know I've already said that, but it's making me really sad thinking about it. So hopefully one day I'll rewatch it, and by then I would have forgotten all the gorgeous, funny, lovely parts of the show. But definitely check it out if you haven't, because it's a real gem and one that I freaking love. But yeah, I definitely need a large glass of water. Christian is also cooking lunch, so sorry if you could hear that, but I'm also very hungry, so my mouth is watering a lot. But they are all of the shows that I've binged during lockdown on Netflix. I think you will agree. There have been a lot. Like I said, guys, I had a lot of time on my hands. I hope you're not judging me, and I'm sure you've watched at least 1, 2, 3, 50 of these shows as well. So if you have enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and leave a review for the podcast. It's how other people find the podcast, and it would mean so freaking much to me. We got our first review this week actually, so thank you so much if you were the person who left that review. It was so sweet and it just means so much to me. If you want to keep caught up on what's going on behind the scenes, or new episodes coming out, or you want to be involved in future episodes, definitely go over to our Instagram, which is at BE CANDID PODCAST, and follow us there. I post a new episode every Tuesday, so hopefully I will speak to you next week. Bye.